The Alliance for Innovation in Infrastructure, known as AII, was an idea rattling around in the early 2010s, initially under the proposed moniker the Alliance for Infrastructure Modernization, AIM or AIM. The organization was born out of a pressing need to address critical infrastructure challenges in the United States through innovative and forward-thinking solutions.
We have a significant infrastructure issue. I mean, I think everybody agrees that our infrastructure is showing a lot of wear and tear. The issue has always been, how are we going to pay for it? And what's the federal role versus what's the state or local role?
My name is Benjamin Durker. I'm the Executive Director of the Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure. We are the only infrastructure-focused think tank in the United States.
We try to look at public policy issues from a nonpartisan standpoint, and we have both a C3 and a C4, and what that means is we have one that is just purely educational outreach, and then we have another arm of our group that can advocate, not as lobbyists, but to take a position on a matter if we want. Almost 2/3 of all the energy products that we use in the country on a daily basis come to us through pipelines or through other infrastructure.
Today I'm joined by Brigham McCown, Chairman of the Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure.
AII is an independent national educational organization.
Chairman of the Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure.
The Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure.
Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure.
Hard to believe for a couple of people who were just concerned about infrastructure policy and where that issue and where that debate would lead us that long ago.
While infrastructure modernization was a key goal, it didn't encompass all that the founding thought leaders aimed to accomplish. To ensure that innovation was first, not only for infrastructure outcomes, but in policy formation and approaches to problem solving, the solution was to create two nonprofits to speak with one voice. Each nonprofit, tooled to tackle different elements of the nation's infrastructure challenges, had to be grounded in safety. In January 2014, the founding members filed the National Infrastructure Safety Foundation along with the Public Institute for Facility Safety. Together, these would form the Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure, a powerful think tank leading the search for solutions to infrastructure challenges nationwide. With a presence in California, Texas, and Virginia, AII established itself as both a national organization and one with a close tie to the Washington, D.C. policy world.
Well, I think there are a lot of organizations out there doing really good work in this area, but nobody actually has what we call a systemic or a full picture of what infrastructure actually entails. People are dedicated to one aspect, maybe like aviation or trucking, but we seek to understand the holistic picture of infrastructure and how all these different pieces come together so that we can better address national infrastructure challenges on a go-forward basis.
AII is the only nationwide public policy think tank that's dedicated to infrastructure. There's a lot of fantastic organizations doing a lot of work in transportation or in energy, affecting the grid and these types of things, but at AII we really have a system-wide view. We're looking at the entire infrastructure landscape, how those systems intersect with other systems. What's needed to really get building done. We need energy, we need capacity, we need new systems and structures in place, and those often can't be built because of this regulation or this technical limitation. And so at AII, we're looking at all of these things comprehensively to really help provide a roadmap for policymakers and industry leaders to navigate those things so we can really get building done, get that hard infrastructure built to really serve communities and the nation as a whole.
AII set out to adopt an agenda-driven and media-focused approach, allowing our experts to work with an independent advisory council to follow infrastructure developments in real time and quickly act to research and educate leaders on timely challenges and present innovative solutions.
It started out with just a couple of us, and we went out and we took our vision to people who are also interested in good infrastructure, because without good infrastructure, we don't have things on the shelves at our grocery stores. We can't get to our son or daughter's soccer game. We're stuck in traffic. We seek time delays. And all these time delays, they're not just time delays, but they're inefficiency delays that result in a significant drag on our GDP and our economy as a whole. So There are a lot of people that know that, but we had to take these concepts and apply them in a way that everyday people understand what we're doing, and that's not so easy.
We're a neutral. We don't represent one group or another. We're not in there to champion either side, but rather to educate everybody to understand all of the nuances and what they need to know to make informed decisions. So the fact that we're neutral does, in a very large part, differentiate us from the other players in the field.
Rather than allowing members to set our agenda, AII was designed to be free from industry incentive structures, establishing true independence from both partisanship and specific interests. The official public launch of AII took place on October 21, 2014, garnering media attention from outlets like Politico, The Hill, Congressional Quarterly's Roll Call, and Inside Sources, and featuring coverage on Platts Energy Week. AII set out to cut through policy noise and advocate for sensible, impactful infrastructure improvements across the nation, marking the beginning of a decade-long journey in transforming America's infrastructure landscape. After 10 years, the Alliance for Innovation in Infrastructure continues to make a substantial impact by publishing new white papers, producing informative videos, providing educational content such as original classroom curriculum for both students and teachers, and much more.
10 years is a really huge milestone for AII. We have been doing original research and education for a decade now. That's incredible to say. And what I think is the most impressive thing about hitting 10 years is just the depth of our research library and our educational material. The way we've put information out there, publicly available for free, that helps improve industry outcomes, that helps refine public policy and regulation, and really just help get infrastructure built safely and smart.
Collaborative efforts to bring together diverse stakeholders aimed at utilizing innovation to drive safety decisions in order to identify, analyze, model, predict, and prevent incidents should be our watchword, and prevention should be our shield.
I'm really proud of our achievements at AII, to really not only still be around, but to be thriving. Our impact has grown over the years. Our reputation and brand have grown. People know who AII is now in a way they didn't 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
It's amazing. I mean, time's gone by quickly. It's hard to believe that we've been at this nearly 10 years, but I'm just so proud of the organization, the staff, everybody that we've had. You know, we've really grown and done well, and all the while preserving our status as independent, without an agenda, just wanting the best for all Americans.
Leaders from private industry to the halls of Congress routinely turn to AII for unbiased insight and a comprehensive perspective on infrastructure and its many interdependencies.
Well, first of all, we're truly independent. You know, if you look at our board, we're equally divided between Democrats and Republicans. I once had a boss, Norman Mineta, Democrat from California, very well respected, who said, "Brigham, there are no Democrat bridges. There are no Republican bridges. They're just American bridges. They're just American highways." And he had it right. And that was from a bygone era, sadly, where people weren't politicians, they were statesmen. And they worked for the good of the country. And that's what we're trying to do at this independent, nonpartisan think tank.
We're fortunate at AII to have an incredible depth of experience, particularly in our board of directors and our advisory council. We've got folks who have spent decades in military service, in commercial aviation, in hazmat and fire safety, in pipeline management, cybersecurity, across all these different disciplines. And they're really applying all of what they've learned across their vast experience, their careers, and pouring that into our think tank so that we can see how these systems interconnect. Our experts know because they've run those agencies. They've done the work. They've been around. Leveraging all of that expertise across our board of directors, our advisory council, our staff, we can see how the systems interact, how infrastructure itself is dependent on other infrastructure, on a public policy framework, on funding. And when this change happens over here, is it going to lead to these consequences? We want to see all of those system outcomes and help inform policymakers and industry leaders doing the development, doing the infrastructure building, so they can see all those things and build new infrastructure faster, leverage existing infrastructure, make our systems more resilient, more reliable, more sustainable over time.
What I love about AII is that we're really just focused on the actual facts, not pushing a political agenda. With AII, it's here's the actual issue, and here's how we can fix it. By putting together this nonpartisan, fact-based information, we're coming together and helping policymakers move in the right direction without any concern of pushing a political agenda or anything like that. It's really just about getting in there and solving these actual real-world problems.
I appreciate AII for stepping in to say, we want to provide a resource and a middle ground here. And I want to emphasize that middle ground because it's a problem that has to be solved. We have to have the infrastructure. We have to have efficient building of infrastructure, but at the same time, we cannot continue to build this level of animosity out there among landowners against these projects. And that's where I see AII coming in. They're a recognized authority in infrastructure to build this 50-state database on law and policy such that policymakers, citizens, researchers of all types can tap that information.
The Alliance for Innovation in Infrastructure is conducting research to find the solutions that policymakers and decision makers are looking for. With a library of original and objective research and educational material, AII equips industry and policy leaders with insight on how key aspects of infrastructure relate and intersect with one another. We provide a comprehensive and system-wide view to improve the safety and efficiency of our systems. We are the go-to resource for thought leaders, researchers, and the public looking for unbiased information.
AII's documents or deliverables have been developed in an independent way, in a thorough, comprehensive way. And so it's a great way to pick up a report or an analysis from AII and get the holistic system perspective of how the ecosystem works and reference that document or use it to really fine-tune what their research objectives are and how they're going to get into a specific issue. So it's just a great first source for the truth. And that's backed by reliable, objective information.
That's one of the things I'm most proud of. It's a research library, this comprehensive and growing set of research resources that covers everything from grid modernization and upgrades to damage prevention, excavator safety, all the way to Highway Trust Fund and the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund. Things that people don't think about, but their daily lives are affected by these infrastructure issues. And we've just been able to put together really awesome resources that have helped inform policy and industry action over the years.
So the reason I joined AII was I saw all the awesome things that AII was doing to progress the fiber of America's infrastructure and how important that is to see progress throughout the nation in so many different topics, whether it's energy, climate change, you name it. Infrastructure is at the root of all those topics.
On June 3rd, 42,000 gallons of crude oil spilled when the Union Pacific train jumped its tracks in Oregon. Do we know the cause of that and what the extent of the damage is?
We do, and in this case, it's dilapidated infrastructure. There are something called a carriage bolt that links sections of track together, and those bolts were rusted and it sheared off when the Union Pacific train went across. And so, federal regulators are likely to bring an enforcement case against the railroad for not maintaining the infrastructure. And experts on both sides of the equation have said either these are things you really can't predict or these are things that you can very easily predict and should have been caught beforehand.
In my opinion, the differentiator for AII is they're looking at the broad framework or systems associated with infrastructure or connected by infrastructure. So there's a lot of other organizations that specialize into a specific area or topic, but AII has an ability to take this system approach and understand how those fibers are weaved together and how there may be trade-offs between those different aspects in a way that no other organization can. AI, the whole idea of innovation and infrastructure is very broad, a very broad topic. And what I like about AI is they get subject matter experts, whether it's on their governance board or in their advisory council, or just engaging other experts across the nation to find out what the most important topics are for the day and how to either remove a barrier or create some inertia behind a specific topic and facilitate those conversations. And what AI does is they're able to figure out the most important topics and really focus like a laser on those topics, when a lot of other organizations or conversations going on across the nation is more of a light bulb. AI can be a laser, basically burning through those issues and those obstacles in a bipartisan, neutral way that's backed by sound technical information.
When I started at AII, I knew that my role would require me to become a catalyst for driving real-world change. By inviting not only industry experts into the conversation, but the general public, I'm able to extend what we do to everybody. From damage prevention to transportation infrastructure, I help in revealing what's hiding in plain sight, the infrastructure that allows us to live our daily lives.
We have a dual audience at AII. We're primarily looking at giving and equipping policymakers with high-quality, objective resources. We're really interested in infrastructure being built, being safe, and being reliable. And that's a need everyone has, and not enough organizations are focused on that and focused on all the systems and how they interconnect. When we're putting out this objective resource on the energy grid or the roads and the bridges or the supply chain, we know that those things have two sides to them. There's a regulatory framework for how they operate, how we keep them safe, how they're meant to operate because they interact with the public. And they're also run by, built by, developed by industry. And so any resource that we put out speaks to both of those sides. If there's an issue facing the roadways, of course policymakers fund the roads, but we all use the roads. And shippers use the roads, and corporations put their trucks on the road. Everyone has an interest in it. And so we understand that if we are to research that topic and put out a white paper or a policy brief, it can't be just to a policymaker. There has to be, an approach to it that can inform industry leaders on best practices, ways that they can voluntarily show leadership and apply innovation in their field. But we have to inform policymakers on, what are the consequences of changing this regulation or adding this one? Is there a way to do a new policy structure that enables industry to thrive safely? We want to create this dynamic approach to policy where everyone can prosper and everything is safe.
I think the future is bright for AII. There's so much work that needs to be done, and we've tackled some of this, whether it's on damage prevention or looking into autonomous vehicles and the role of electric vehicles. There's so many different areas for us to continue on. And what's exciting is what we're talking about is being adopted. It's being heard in the halls of Congress. It is being put into regulations and legislation. It's being put into books, textbooks for students. So I think this next decade is going to be fantastic because, as we all know, we're seeing improvements and things are getting better, but we still have a lot to fix.
My hopes and visions for AII is that it continues to be that neutral, objective, data-driven advisor to policymakers and researchers all over the country. So that's not changed. Where I think we can enhance or build upon what has already been created is increasing our overall impact and influence. So how do we get access to more people and get the wonderful information that's being created disseminated more broadly and utilized to a greater extent in policy decisions?
Well, I'm just so proud to be associated with AII, and really thank everybody who has supported us and who continues to support us, and those of you who use our materials. And please, I want to encourage everybody to go to the website and look at all the educational materials that we have. Whether you just want to know how things work, whether you're a policy or decision maker, whether you're a teacher, we've got something for everybody.
The Alliance for Innovation and Infrastructure is a vital force in addressing our nation's complex infrastructure challenges. Founded on principles of safety and independence, AII actively seeks innovative solutions while engaging diverse stakeholders. Our commitment to research and education empowers policymakers and the next generation of leaders. By providing comprehensive insights, we elevate public discourse on infrastructure issues. Thank you so much for joining us today. To learn more, visit AII.org and discover how we're shaping a better future for America's infrastructure.